Flames Unfiltered. Kyle, how was your day going?
It's another day in paradise, man.
I see you're decked out in your Jays stuff, and game 3 is tonight as the Jays are up 2-0 over the New York Yankees. So all of Canada is in a craze, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's actually it drives me crazy in hockey when people say things like Canada's team about like the Maple Leafs. It's like, no, they're not, and they never have been. You know, it'd be more like But in this case, yes, we only have one team. The Expos are gone. And there's what looks to be a great documentary coming out on their departure on Netflix in a couple of weeks. But yeah, Canada only has one ball team, and they're very good this year. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it's always interesting when they're in it. I do think it's a little funny, just how much like it's taken over the NHL talk. As we, hit opening days today. We're recording this on a Tuesday night, and the opening day is today, which I think is idiotic, but we've talked about that in previous episodes. But yeah, I mean, baseball playoffs are fun. My team is in it too. I don't know. I don't speak a whole lot about baseball because I'm not huge into baseball, but since I was a little kid, I've always been a Milwaukee Brewers fan.
Mm-hmm.
And my team's
actually, I have an uncle that lives in Milwaukee.
Really?
I do.
My grandma lived in a town real close to Milwaukee, and when we'd go visit her, we'd always go in and watch games at the old Milwaukee County Stadium. It was fun.
That's cool. Yeah, my dad's brother lives there, and Milwaukee's got a damn good team this year, so good on you.
So we both got our baseball teams, but probably more importantly, I mean, we got a lot of Flames talk to go over. I was making a list here the last couple of days of stuff we need to chat about today, and I was like, holy cow, this is extensive.
Yep, there's a lot for sure. 'Tis the season, right?
Yeah.
So where do we begin?
Well, I gotta get your take on something that's not Flames related here. Did Frank Saravelli just left Daily Faceoff at the end of last season, or July 1, I believe. He's on a channel called Victory Plus. Have you checked this out yet?
I was aware of the move, but I have not checked it out. No.
Okay, here's what I did, just not knowing. I like some of his takes. I like listening to him. He's not Elliot Friedman to me, but
that's a pretty high bar, right?
It is, but I kind of like some of the way, some of it, he's got always some different stuff, right? And so I see this Victory Plus thing. He has a thing on X about it, and so I downloaded it, and I am pumped. I get the WHL games, every game for free.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
Victory Plus has all the WHL, all the Dallas Stars, all the Anaheim Ducks free.
Wow.
And more teams joining and more things happening with that. So I did watch his episode yesterday, the big McDavid episode. I didn't get to see today. I was a little swamped at work, which frustrated me because I wanted to listen to it today. But all in all, I think it's something that that everybody should check out. Victory Plus seems to be good.
Very cool.
And I want to talk one more thing when we're going to get into Flame stuff. This is Flames, though. You sent me a message the other day, and talk to me about this 4th jersey.
Well, yeah. I mean, was it the last episode I got rambling about?
You did.
Yeah.
In the last 2.
Yeah. If you were to poll all the Flames fans and weigh the percentages for the most popular, I think you would have the home, the away, and Blasty, and the 04 red jersey. And now there's all kinds of talk that 04 red, which had a very, very short life, by the way, it was only 3 seasons. Let me think. 03, 04, 05, 06, 06, 07, because 07, 08, they went to the Flags jersey. But anyway, there's a lot of rumblings that because some gaps in the Flames jersey schedule, that the 04 Black Sea horse head on the shoulder is going to make an appearance, or a reappearance, as it were.
That's exciting, I guess.
Very.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see. And also,
fun to see. Nice pun.
Yeah. The new season of The Chase starts tonight on YouTube also. So
that's right. I forgot about that. I got to check that out.
Just saw that. I haven't watched it, obviously. I don't even know if it's out yet tonight, and actually right now as we record, it's coming out. So, okay. Lots to talk about, Kyle. Where we start is completely up to you.
Ooh. Well, I guess let's talk about the team, because the team obviously at this point has been named, and I don't. Well, okay. If we base it on the last few weeks, there's no surprises. But if we look at what we expected in the summer, there is at least one major surprise, and that's Matt Vigridden making the team at 19 years old.
There is a surprise, and I'm not. Last week we discussed Rory Cairns quite a bit on the show. I mean, he was kind of the key topic last week, and he had a great camp. And I know I said some controversial stuff about questioning if he's really a true NHLer. I think you said some very valid points of that based off what he's done in his time in Calgary and in camp, he deserves a shot. And I honestly, you make some very valid points, and I can't argue that with you.
Yeah.
But I still question if he's an NHL player, and I think that's fair.
Well, we don't. I mean, now we don't know, right?
Well, we don't know, but I do believe we will find out, because I do believe he will get a call up, because injuries are already happening, and will continue with Huberdeau out and Pospisil out. So they're going to happen. I don't know. Do you want to get controversial right away?
Why not?
I'm calling into. I'm kind of questioning some of these
decisions.
Yeah.
I'm not kind of questioning them. I'm absolutely questioning them, but I want to touch on Cairns just real quick.
Yeah.
Cairns, since we last recorded, he didn't have, his last game was not great.
No.
Now that said, I do feel he was perhaps judged too harshly on that, but moreover, where I think you're going with this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the team has done as they've traditionally done and deferred a little too much to some of the veteran guys in this team and basically gifted them spots, perhaps.
I would agree with you to a point. I guess, okay.
We have to be more specific, right? So go ahead.
Let me dive into that. I thought Rory Cairns was much better than Justin Kirkland.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So I don't think we would have lost Kirkland on waivers simply because he's coming back from an injury. Other teams are going to be wary of that. So we could have sent him down for
a significant injury, like a slow you down for the rest of your career type injury. Yes.
So I have not been impressed with him at camp at all. He is a step and a half slower. I thought it was a perfect time, and I thought there was a perfect reasoning behind why you'd send him down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's on the forward side where I'm having some concerns with. On the defensive side, the fact that now I'm not going to get on this show and freak out about losing Solovyov on waivers, which should have never happened because the right decision wasn't made.
No,
there's no justification that Bean and Miramonov, especially Miramonov, deserve to be on this over Solovyov. There is none. I don't get it. And I'm not even saying that Solovyov jumped off the page and should. I'm not. I'm just saying we lost a young asset for Miramonov, who would be a mid-level American Hockey League player. Mid-level.
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, Solovyov probably projected as a 6th or 7th defenseman at the NHL level, but a very serviceable one at that. Could probably bump up move up in a pinch, I should say. I can't argue with what you're saying at all. And I know, X was alight with people furious over this, and understandably so. What I'd like to see, and it's a hard job, I think, for the media to do, is basically to ask Ryan Huska or Craig Conroy, how do you justify keeping those guys over a guy like Solovyov? And in Kirkland's case, who, to his credit, could end up usurping UC Jokinen as the greatest shootout player of all time, which is kind of an unofficial title for Jokinen. But that's it's the only thing that he brought to the table in training camp.
Absolutely.
The only thing. And that's not to say he can't start to play better. But if training camp is actually based on merit, which we know to a point it isn't always because guys have big contracts, they don't want to be lost in waivers, blah, blah, blah. But this team very clearly showed, and if Huberdeau wasn't hurt, what happens to Gridden, right? Does he actually make the team? I'm not convinced.
No, and I'm okay with that. I am. And Gridden, to me, he jumped off. Especially the final few games when they played against tougher opponents. This guy, for 19 years old, does not have the body of a 19-year-old and jumped off the page to me. Jumped off. I was excited to watch him.
Mhm.
It seemed like things were happening when he would be out there. And I think he deserved to make the team. But I also understand like the contract obligations, and I do understand the manipulation that you need to do, right? But now he's going to get his opportunity, albeit because of an injury, which sucks. But that's usually how people get those shots, right?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
what does he do with it, right? We'll see. I love what he brings. Like I I I was watching the game that night with the last one, the Winnipeg one, Friday night, and I was like, this guy's got exactly what we need. He's got a big body. He makes things happen offensively. He seems to be, for a 19-year-old, pretty strong defensively. It's exciting. It is really, really exciting.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, guy's got a great shot. He looked poised. He looked very, very capable in all three zones. I watched him play in junior last year. Like, I knew he was well past the junior level. He was a dominant player, superstar in the Quebec League last year with Shawinigan. But I did not expect him to be this, even if it's only for a handful of games. I did not expect him to make the team.
No, none of us did at the beginning of the year. When camp opened, did you? I didn't pencil him in. I didn't have him down.
I don't think anybody did.
I had him down to watch, but that was about it.
Well, I wonder, actually, since it's right here, the Hockey News yearbook. I wonder where
6th. I have it in front of me too.
Well, he didn't even make the depth chart for 25-26.
He didn't, huh?
No, they have basically a fifth line, which was Suniev, Hanzik, and Klapka. And they had Lomberg on fourth line left wing, and Kirkland at center and fourth in the depth chart, which I get, but I'm not entirely sold on. Anyway, he didn't even make it. And then the prospect rankings, he fell in at fifth. Great Q campaign for steady score, equally dangerous in the rush, and a stationary trigger man. We saw all that in the NHL preseason, same as we did in the Quebec League last year. So,
do you see his expected NHL arrival date?
Was it 26-27, I think? I just closed
27-28.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah, you know what? When I get this, the first thing I do is read about the Flames, and they had a great article in there on Rasmus Anderson, by the way. So if you haven't picked it up, please do.
It is. It's a good read every year.
Yeah, but I remember reading that. I'm like, man, that far off. Because when I watched him play in the Q, I'm like, this guy he's call up next year, regular the following season. I would say, based on what little I saw of him, which is probably 4 games, I would say.
I'm impressed, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I really am. I got a couple other questions for you.
I'm sure.
Do you feel, based off some of these roster decisions that were made, do you feel like this fan base is really giving Conroy a pass? Because in a lot of, if this was Montreal right now, or Toronto, like, there'd be a lot more call to question, I think. Is it because he's Craig Conroy so much that we're just like, how dare we question him? And I'm not saying Craig Conroy is doing a bad job. That's not at all what I'm insinuating. I'm saying I don't know where the justification is for Miromanov. And I'm sure they'd say, well, we don't want that salary stuck in the AHL. Well, then you shouldn't have signed him and Bean for 2 years. Check mark on you, Conroy.
Yeah, I understand taking chances on players, but I guess what his saving grace is he's done so well with so much of his work that people have been generally patient. But after, a camp like that, and the fact now people are freaking out as well because Pratt doesn't look like he's going to be in the opening night lineup.
He shouldn't
be. It depends on how you shelter him. He should be running one of those power plays, I think. But anyway.
The only reason I say that is, could you script anything worse than McDavid and Draisaitl lighting it up and blowing by the young guy? It's not a night to do it on, man. It's just not.
Well, yeah, and I realized they're in Edmonton and wouldn't have last change, so it's kind of a risk in a way. But is it better having Jake Bean in the lineup?
No, I don't know.
Well,
no, I'm with you, Kyle.
And I'm asking, right? I'm not saying I have the answer. I think the forward ranks, we generally knew what they were going to be. Although Morgan Frost had probably the most impressive camp, so hopefully that continues. I'd love to see him in the number 1 center spot. push Kadri to 2 and Backlund to 3. But when it comes to D, it's that bottom pairing and like how that shakes out. Like I don't know. Again, at the end of the day, just what we talked about a few minutes ago, I don't see how, if camp is based on performance and on merit, that being at Ormir Runoff is the opening night lineup. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree. And I wrote something on X on, I don't remember what night it was, but I got a lot of response. I just wrote that, like, if Perek could somehow play his offside wing like he did in juniors and have that be successful and have him with Pahal, I feel pretty comfortable, right? And plus, if he could somehow play that left side like he did in juniors, I mean, that opens up so many more avenues for the D core and helps us out as a franchise so much more.
Mm-hmm.
I'd feel a whole lot more comfortable. But having to have Pahal come out for Perek to come in, and then I got to pair him with Beaner or Miramonov scares the living hell out of me.
Yeah, as it should.
Right. And that's as much a knock on those guys as it is Perek, because I went up and down on Perek last week on the show, and like, I really have high hopes, and I think offensively he's going to be great, but I do think we need to be really careful right away. And I know that X is going crazy about him not probably being in the lineup opening night Wednesday night, but it's like, I don't know. I think you pick your battles a little bit, right? And I don't even know if it's fair to him to throw him into that first night and have something bad happen. Now, it may not go bad and it may go great, and I guess that's the risk you take, but I don't know. I just feel like a 2 p.m. St. Louis game at the Dome sounds a lot safer to me.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but God, this is where it gets so frustrating.
Frustrated for saying that, or frustrated?
No. Frustrated because it just elicits a lot of questions from me. And I do feel when we do this show, a lot of times you're throwing the questions to me, and you do a really good job of, bringing some of my thoughts to the forefront. I want to do the same with you, especially when it comes to this stuff. So what you just got me thinking about in talking about this, because whether I agree or disagree, they're all very valid questions. And generally, I'm agreeing with what you're saying. The thing that bothers me when I think about it as you're talking is last season, we probably netted, I know we netted 10 points plus that we did not deserve whatsoever because of our star goaltender.
Yes.
So one thing that happened that we haven't talked about yet that we should touch on, and before I tip my hand, I want your thoughts. How did you feel about Ryan Huska's extension?
Well, and as you do this, that sets us up for the X Factor this week.
I always do that, and I never know. It's great.
And we'll fire that off right away. And it's from Nick Bartner.
And Mike Bartner.
Mike. Why did I say Mick? Mike. That's my old age. I'm trying to read it on the smaller screen instead of the bigger screen in front of me. He says, number one, doing this the morning after an 8-1 loss is hilarious. Yes, I know it's preseason. I thought the exact same thing, Mike. Believe me. Number two, it says, seems like a weird choice to do this now, considering Wolf was really the sole reason they smashed expectations point-wise. Would have waited a month or two if they were solid again. And I agree. Huska gets a 2-year extension. And I shouldn't say that. Thank you, Mike, for this. When I read this, I'm like, all right, save this one. This is for real. This is the X Factor. Because you make a lot of points that I think a lot of the fan base blurted out to themselves right away. And it's the fact that, do we dislike Ryan Huska? No, I can't say.
No, not at all.
Not at all. I think he's done fairly well considering the talent that he's been given. Although last year, on the latter part of the year, right before we went on a little bit of a streak, and even coming down the stretch, I'm looking at our line pairings and I'm like, oh my God. And today I look at the practice line pairings of Kadri, Klapka, and Farabee, and I thought, oh my God. And our fourth line is Kirkland, Lomberg, and Sharangovich.
Yeah.
I don't get this.
Well,
Go ahead. And then
I don't want to cut you off because I feel like we both have so much to say about this. I don't get the lines either. I just wanted to interject with that quickly. And I couldn't agree when I saw that tweet, and I actually was going to send it to you, and I totally forgot because that was kind of my pick as well for the X Factor because it's bang on. I know it's preseason, I know it doesn't matter, but the timing is hilarious, and he's absolutely right. And for me, I would have, and it's easy for me to say, but I would have absolutely waited until, January or so to start talking extension.
And Kyle, I know it's preseason, but it wasn't just an 8-1 loss. It was an 8-1 loss where the team didn't even try hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, but even then, I'm not, that does concern me a bit. But again, where it's preseason, I'm like, I hate preseason. I think it's generally a waste of time. I want guys showing up to camp in good shape with a positive attitude, playing their role, playing to their strengths, showing that they want to be there. And the preseason games, yes, they are an indicator of certain things, no doubt. But the bigger concern to me is that they give him so much credit for this team working so hard last year. And yes, they were a very hardworking team. They were a fit team, and he's an excellent communicator. But Dustin Wolf is the number one reason they got that close. And anybody who tells themselves otherwise is lying to themselves. This is a 75-point team without Dustin Wolf last season. So about 10 wins, I'm pinning saying they were him.
Well, how many times have you heard the phrase, a good coach usually means you have a good goalie?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we both know, Huska wins coach of the year like Daryl Sutter did a few years ago. It's a kiss of death. You're gone the next season so many times, right? So I don't want to sit here and shit on Ryan Huska or the job he's done because I don't think he's necessarily done a bad job. But the lines that you just discussed are very concerning, as you very clearly stated. And I don't think it's the right time. You don't hand a coach an extension. You're in training camp.
Do you ever feel like, and you see this in really all sports, and it's impossible in life because we all have our favorites, right? Mm-hmm. But I after seeing this and the way the preseason went, and actually did not mind some of his play during the preseason. There's no hope for Sharon Govich to have a year this year that gets him back up, and he's not even going to be given the opportunity. He's not. I get the feeling Huska doesn't like him, and whatever Adam Klapka does, Ryan Huska just loves him. And don't get me wrong, Klapka has looked good in camp too. He looked good, but I'm sorry. I watched a lot of hockey, and he is not a first-line right wing.
No. So here's the difficulty, and I mentioned Mike Gold a lot because he has a lot of great takes, and I believe it was Mike, I hope I'm not mistaken here, but he had thrown out some lines. Robert Munich did as well, who we often talk about as well. They're throwing some lines together that made a lot of sense insofar as they're 4 capable lines, right? So if you think, and let's just say for the argument's sake that that we do, that he's a big man and a good player in that role. Yeah. He can play with a skill guy like Kadri and Farabee. He scored 20 in the league before, has some wicked moves as we've seen, excuse me. But if you're gonna work with the assumption you can roll 4 good lines, you can't roll out a 4th line that makes no sense like that with Kirkland, Lomberg, who we said, God love the guy, shouldn't be playing 82 games. And Sharon Govich, who's a streaky scoring winger with a hell of a shot, who has to play with skilled players in order to be successful, right?
Well, you got Kirkland, who's on a bum wheel, slow as he's been in his career, and you got Lomberg, who's not an offensive dynamo at all, with Sharon Govich.
Yeah,
like what's he bringing to that line? Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like you can't. This isn't like, NHL 26 in my Xbox where you can take a guy that's rated 77, put him with a guy that's rated 84 and a guy that's rated 89, and the next line be a similar mix. Like it doesn't work that way.
Well, and here's the deal too. Like, I don't know how you feel this year. I mean, we've named Farabee as a guy we're kind of interested to see how it plays out, and we've named Frost too. But 2 of the biggest guys that I think need to have good years this year are Connor Zary and Sharon Govich. Yeah. Wouldn't it have made sense to fire them up on the front line with Kadri? And you can call the 1, 2, and 3. I don't care. You can number them however the hell you want. But doesn't it make sense having Kadri with Sharon Govich and Zary, and then having, Lomberg, Kirkland, and Klapka, and then Farabee, Backlund, Coleman? Like, I don't know. Does that not make a little bit more sense?
Yeah, it does. I've actually imagined Fair being that spot too with Backlund and Coleman because it gives everybody a boost, right?
Yes.
But you can't. And what drove me nuts last year, and you heard me bitch about it incessantly, is that everybody else who listens, you can't roll out a fourth line again, after every goal against like their energy line, and they're going to get you back. It doesn't work that way, and I don't understand that incessant thinking. So if you're going to build a line like that, and they're going to take a regular shift, and I do think yes, they can swing momentum with a big hit or maybe a chippy goal. Like I get it, but being married to the belief that you have to have like a grind line when you could just have 4 capable lines like the ones I just mentioned had been suggested online. I don't get it. Like, what are you trying to do? Why are you doing, coaching like it's the mid 1980s when the hockey was way more violent? Like, I don't understand that. It drives me nuts. And to your point, and I touched on this as well. I don't know why. I cannot understand why you would put a guy like Sharangovich on that.
You might as well take him out of the lineup.
Just scratch him and say, listen, you didn't have the best camp. We haven't given up on you. We committed to you with the contract we gave you. Guys like Gridden blew the doors off coming in here. We're going to roll with this, but you're going to have an opportunity.
Yeah.
We're not going to stick you with a couple of plugs. And I don't mean plugs to sound as bad as it does.
No,
the reality is they're not going to feed him the puck between the circles from the rip one home,
No, that's not their game.
It's so frustrating. This is why I'm watching baseball.
This lineup, I looked at it and I'm like, what in the hell? Like he put, okay, how many times did we say when Jeff Ward was there? Lines in a blender. You know what I mean? You know what lines in a blender is to me? Coaching panic. It's coaching panic.
It's bad coaching.
It's coaching panic.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad, I got to get your take on the battle for the backup goalies.
Oh, I was going to touch on that. Yeah. And that's one of the things I want to throw to you for this show. So, okay, cool. Man, I was fairly convinced that Connor Ingram, Caden Primo, somebody that was known to be available or might become available is going to be snatched up by the Flames because the backup goalie battle just went so poorly.
Well, the one
and again,
I saw, Billy Huso is on waivers right now
from Detroit.
Get him.
Yeah, it's Detroit, right?
Yeah, I believe he's in Detroit.
Yeah, I know they got a lot of goaltenders there. So yeah, I'd be okay with that 100%. And I will say that in those preseason games, there was a couple goals that it's hard to fault the goalies on, but neither one asserted himself at all, which is a bit concerning. But again, it's preseason, yeah. But I didn't think that Cooley was going to take the role from Profsitov. I really didn't.
I didn't either. I don't even think he deserved to.
I don't think that he did necessarily either. And Profsitov's a big goaltender, which, having somebody with the size discrepancy of a Profsitov and a Wolf could be kind of an advantage. Like when it's same as when the Predators have Rene and Saros. By no means am I suggesting our tandem's anywhere near that level. But to be able to trot out, probably like an undersized goaltender with a very large one on a given night against a team, let's say those 2 St. Louis games last year always talk about, one night you're shooting on this super athletic small goaltender, the next night it's this behemoth blocking most of the net. Yeah. It's not a bad idea in theory, right? But if I'm the coaching staff, I'm disappointed because neither goaltender really asserted himself. And
did you see what their save percentages were heading into that final night?
Oh yeah,
Prosvitov's was 5.737 and Cooley's was 0.571.
Wow, yeah.
And both of them let in 4 and 4, right? I know. 5 and 3. Anyways, I don't know. It was ugly. It was ugly. I thought both goalies were awful. I thought the whole team was awful that night, but the goalies didn't help the case at all either. I don't know. I do not feel comfortable with our goaltending tandem at all.
Well, and right now there's no reason to. Now, hopefully that turns out to be different. But I did see a couple tweets, praising Dan Vladar, which I thought was kind of funny because, he had a rough start to the year last year and was great in the second half, as we've talked about often. Ended up wishing the best of luck with his bid to get the starting job in Philly. But we definitely took that guy for granted a bit. There's no question.
Not a great preseason for him as an 8.867 save percentage. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and
but it's preseason. I know.
But it's interesting. It's interesting. I really thought somebody was going to step up more, and that's not at all what happened yet.
So not to poke the bear again, but I keep seeing this where it says we have Miramonov on our opening night roster and Slovyov is on Colorado's, and geez, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and I said to you this, I said this to you rather, I think in a text, where I'm not at all upset about losing a defenseman.
I'm not.
We have so many between the Wranglers and the Flames, but that's not the one I wanted to lose. Now, if I had to choose between him and Kuznetsov, I'm glad we kept Kuznetsov because he's a bit younger, right?
Yes, I like Kuznetsov, but he could make a bid. Would you not feel more comfortable having him on there than being in Miramonov? I would.
Yeah, and we all would, based on their performance. Last year, training camp, you name it.
The thing is, Kyle, we preached and preached and preached for years now about asset management, and I'm not saying that Ilya Slovyov changes the needle, right? But you still can't lose guys like him, who's a stay-at-home defenseman, which we need in our organization because we're a little top-heavy on in the prospect category of offensive shifty defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, we can't keep losing these parts, you guys. We just can't.
No, I agree. Again, it comes back to that basic tenet of deference to established NHLers. And again, I want to be. It's such a competitive sport. There's only so many jobs. And I talked about that not long ago with my buddy that scouts in the league, and he talked about the scouting side of it and how there's so few jobs. Right? There's so few coaching jobs. There's so few playing jobs. I know that Bean and Miramonov, the two guys we keep talking about, obviously have good qualities. They're obviously very good professional hockey players. But the fact that those two, and it could be, player X and player Y, we're not have to talk about those two in particular, but in this case, it's those two that it's like they're just being given opportunity after opportunity. Why? Because a one-way deal, because they make over $1 million, because Jake Bean was a first-round pick, because Miramonov was the part of the return of the Hannafin trade. Like, there's this, what's that called? It's like a fallacy, like sunk cost fallacy, right? So we put assets into getting these guys, or this guy has a certain pedigree, so we got to keep rolling with it. It's like, no, you don't.
No, it's okay to cut bait. Every team in this league, there isn't a team out there that doesn't make mistakes. Mm-hmm. You know what good management does? You know what? We took a risk on Miramonov. It was a couple $1 million risk. We threw it out there, didn't work. We're moving on.
Yep.
Right? No, yep. Instead we're going to keep shoving him out there, and he doesn't play physical. He doesn't score points. He doesn't. I don't know. And I'm not trying to just pick on him tonight. I'm not. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
No, and I don't. You can't make a rational argument for. I mean, you can have one of them on the roster, and just not on the opening night roster. Lineup. Yeah.
Well, I'm fine with Jake being there as a safety measure. I'm actually fine with that.
Mm-hmm. And I've had high hopes for Romano for a while. I know he came to camp in excellent shape, but again, if we're basing this on how players performed, it doesn't make any sense, and there's no logical argument for why the both of them are there. So
he didn't even hardly play at camp.
Miramonov?
Yes.
No, he hardly played at all.
I know, which is another puzzling thing.
Well, and if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe somebody else can, but I do believe somebody in the hockey community, one of the insiders, had said the Flames and Miramonov are trying to find a home for him.
I'd find a home for him. He would not get claimed on waivers. I promise you that.
Well, it could have been a future considerations trade. It could have been an exit strategy for him to go play in Russia. Like, I have no idea. I'm not going to pretend to have any insight into that because I don't. But
it still may happen, right?
And you know what? Somebody could get hurt. One of these guys could step up. Jake Bean's exit interview last year was one of the best ones that I watched. It was very insightful and personal from him. And I hope somebody does step up. But I mean, as it currently stands, these decisions do not make sense. And I don't think anybody's going to feel otherwise about that. I'd be surprised if they did.
Another thing, Kyle, I want to bring up too is and we've said this in the show before too, but I don't say these things as a personal attack. I'm stating the facts of what I'm seeing. And I don't wish bad. I pray that he gets an opportunity and I'm completely wrong. And I will come on the show and say, I was so off base there. It's ridiculous. I want him to prove me wrong, but prove me wrong, right? You've been given opportunities and you've yet to prove me wrong.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I get it. Anyway, we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting.
Zane Parekh changes his number to 19 and Gridden changes his to 92. Thoughts?
Well, I love 92 and I know you really like 51.
I love 51. I don't know why.
And I don't know why either, because I was trying to think of why that might be. I couldn't even think of another NHL player that wore 51, to be honest.
Want to know why? Because I've always, number 5's always been my favorite number. It's always been my favorite number. Number 5 is. Well, I don't remember a Flame wearing 51, and this guy like bounced for me. He like stood out so much in this camp that I was so excited about him. I'm just like, all right, don't know any 51s. I love it. It just seemed to fit, right?
Yeah, and I said to you, and Mike Gold has said this as well, actually, 92 just felt like a star player kind of number.
Yeah.
And it's not unusual when a guy makes a team to like, I'm an established guy, right? So
who do you think of when you see 92 in the Flames?
Michael Nylander.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, probably the last one to wear it as a Flame, I'm sure. I'm confident of that, in fact. Training camp numbers aside. Now, Parekh, I actually preferred 89. Because
I didn't mind 89.
That was the cup year. It was different, but more importantly than my personal preference, in my own mind, is the fact that he has taken over a number that was previously worn by a Star Flame. So now, hopefully, we can start to turn the page and recognize Zane Parekh as the new star wearing 19. Because it's 19. Joe Sakic, Steve Yzerman. You know what I mean? Like it's a Matthew Tkachuk. It's a star player's number.
It's a forward number too. That's what scares me.
Well, he scores like a forward, so
I know. Just play some defense. So just don't score more than you cause, please.
He needs to find the right. This is not unlike to me, like when the Flames acquired Roman Hammerlock to bring along Dion Phaneuf. Whether it's a guy like maybe a Braden Bahal or even a Mackenzie Weegar who's great at both ends of the ice, or somebody they don't have yet. We need to find the right partner. Because Parekh is young and so skilled, and
I wanted him so badly to work out on the left and then have him paired with Weegar because I trust Weegar so much. It would have helped his career too. Quickly, we better do Pacific Division predictions, and I don't know how you want to do this. If you want to like go back and forth let's go back and forth from first. Okay.
Okay.
You go first. Who wins the Pacific Division this year?
Golden Knights.
That's what I have too.
Debate, and I'll give it because we're already running, behind because we got rambling so much. We'll give a quick reason maybe for why we think each one. The Golden Knights, I think the addition of Mitch Marner, just in the regular season at least, gives them a major scoring boost, and they still have most of the other pieces in place. Jack Eichel, they're a deep team, top to bottom. I don't necessarily have them pegged to win a cup, but I do see them winning the Pacific.
Deep and aggressive.
Oh, okay, even briefer than I thought. All right, number 2, you go, then I'll go mine.
Edmonton Oilers.
Okay, this is where we differ. So why do you have the Oilers?
I have the Oilers just because I know their goaltending, and I've called their goaltending into question forever. I actually don't think the Oilers are as good as the last year's team, but I also look at McDavid and Draisaitl, and it's like that's just gonna be tough. I don't think they go far in the postseason at all this year, just because I think they've tried to take a bunch of like third and fourth line guys that are cheap and just throw them in there and pray it works. And I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And sometimes it does, like it did for the Penguins years ago, but they also had Marc-Andre Fleury and then Matt Murray, and at the time, at least in net, right?
Big difference. And
huge difference.
But I do think that the offensive punch they're going to bring is going to get them at least to second in the Pacific.
Yeah, I can see that. I've got the LA Kings. And the main reason that I have the LA Kings is like Kempe is an absolute star. Kopitar's last season in the league, the best probably two-way center in the league right now. Him and Crosby, I like a lot of what that. I didn't like the trade of Jordan Spence, mind you, but I think the Kings are a team that's on the rise. The Oilers, I feel, especially with their goaltending concerns, and I don't love their defense at all. I feel like they've kind of dropped off a bit, so I had the Kings at number 2. Who'd you have at 3?
This one, I went back and forth really hard on this one between my 3 and 4, but this is a little bit of a surprise pick. I have the Vancouver Canucks. And you know how much I love the Canucks. But
I do.
I do think I do think the Hughes noise is gonna keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yep.
But I'm gonna do a little reverse psychology here. I'm wondering if the Hughes noise doesn't get bigger and bigger, and I really honestly don't think Quinn Hughes cares. But I wonder if that takes a little bit of the heat off Pettersson, and I wonder if we don't see a little bit of a minor bounce back year for him. And can you get any more controversial and wild of a year than you had last year in Vancouver? I think it'll be calmer waters. I can't believe I'm saying that to a team that picked up Evander Kane, but I do. I feel like they're going to figure out a way to get enough points and get into that third spot.
I was just going to mention Kane, and I think he's calmed down a bit as he's gotten a little longer in the tooth. Yeah, no, I can understand where you're coming from. Pettersson's going to have probably at least relatively speaking, a monster year, like 80-ish points. I have to believe.
That's probably this is probably a huge risk for me too, because I have zero faith that Demko will stay healthy all year either. So,
but Kevin Lankinen was great for them last year, so bit of a coin toss there. They're probably the hardest team to peg in the Pacific, I would say.
Yep.
So I had the Oilers in at 3 for the reasons we've already discussed. They have as much, if not more, star power in the league, but I question their depth, so I have them at 3.
I have the LA Kings in 4th. I think the Kings are going to be a great team. I just don't know if they have. I don't know. I've struggled a little bit on. I was really high on the Kings last year, and they kind of let me down a little bit. But I'm having a hard time determining what direction this team's going with some of the moves they made. So I got them pegged at 4th.
Yeah, and I absolutely get that. I've got the Flames actually at 4th.
Okay.
The biggest reason being, and I could be dead wrong on this, but Dustin Wolf is absolutely phenomenal based on his track record his entire life. I don't see him having any kind of sophomore slump. And I expect more from Morgan Frost, Connor Zary, Kevin Ball. I don't think Anderson's going to be the distraction it's been made out to be, as the Flames done a really good job of, dealing with that to this point. And a lot of it's going to hinge on guys like Perek, being ready to play in the NHL as well. But again, a difficult one to peg, but I think the Flames are going to take a step forward and not the step back that so many, pundits have suggested. Number 5.
5th, I have the Anaheim Ducks.
Okay.
I like this team's direction. I feel like I love their goaltending, albeit I believe there's an slight injury.
The Dostal?
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but I mean, I haven't paid too much attention to the Ducks.
I could be wrong on that. But I just like some of the direction of this team. I like what Pat Verbeek's doing, and I don't know. I think it's time that they start to move up the ladder. They're still not making the playoffs, but time to move up the ladder a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they locked up some key pieces this summer with McTavish and who's the defenseman they just signed. Oh, that's terrible. It was just the other day too. Yeah. Anyway,
it's gonna drive you nuts. You might as well look it up. I'm drawing blanks here right now too.
Look it up right now before I really go crazy.
Anaheim's one of those teams, like, they haven't had much for so long that it's.
Oh, Jackson Lacombe. Duh.
Yeah. And they paid him big time, but he is a secretly good player.
Yeah, absolutely. Very underrated. Very lesser known in the league, but I mean, the Ducks have been under the radar for a while. 5th for me was we're doing 5, yeah. Vancouver Canucks. For the reasons you alluded, seeing them a little bit higher, just really, really hard to peg. I don't think bringing Kane was necessarily a great idea, but we'll see how that pans out. I don't want to judge too harshly before they play their first game. Pettersson's too good to be that bad again. Quinn Hughes is otherworldly. Goaltending's a big question mark, as well as their depth. Connor Garland is a sneaky good player. But yeah, I've got the Canucks at 5.
Number 6. Oh boy, here's what the stones start flying at me. I got the Seattle Kraken at 6.
Wow.
I don't like the Kraken.
To be actually, and we'll do the last few teams a little bit quicker, I guess. I have the Ducks at 6 because I'm just not convinced they're ready to turn the corner, and I had the Kraken at 7.
I have the Calgary Flames at 7, and please don't tweet me with hate. Here's my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
I look at our roster last year, and it's like Huberdeau was better. Cottery was all world. Coronado was really good. Aaron Govich not. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? But we had a lot of guys that stepped up, and we had Ball emerge. We had Hanley play probably better than we can ever ask him to play again. We had Paul step up into a position that I believe that Pahal is that. This is Pahal, so I believe that'll be level, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I look at what Dustin Wolf did, and I felt like our roster was stronger defensively. And I worry about I'm not even calling it a sophomore slump. I'm calling it he's going to be pushed into more and more situations. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a hell of a year and still have his trajectory go up. I just think the road's going to be really hard for a young team.
Yep, and I can totally see that, and this is what makes it. If you look at the predictions of the Hockey News we talked about, I mean, they're all over the map, right? I mean, there's a lot of consistency too, especially in the upper echelon. But
I've seen them from 4 to 7 in predictions.
The easiest one to peg here, of course, is the San Jose Sharks dead last.
I think
they're just not there yet. There was something in the Hockey News about them taking a step. I don't see them taking a step. Celebrini might. I mean, Toffoli's getting long in the tooth. Askarov, I don't know if he's ready to be a full-time bona fide starter or not, but I think the potential is there in net. They're going to be a great team in 3-4 years probably, but they're not there yet.
I don't even think they are in 3 or 4 years because I still question a little bit of their direction, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. I mean, I watched the Sharks knock us out of the playoffs in the early 90s. I don't care if they're ever good again.
Right? Now the thing that really interested me too, and I want to throw this out there because I had it saved here earlier. I just want to make sure I credit the right people in case they turn out to be right. Every year the Hockey News releases, here it is, their 20 fantasy questions. Did you read this part yet?
No, I have not read the fantasy part. I read the whole part.
I'm going to spoil 2 quick things for you.
Okay.
So, which goalie will win the Vezina in 25-26? 3 of the 6 had selected Connor Hellebuck, understandably.
Yep.
But Brian Costello, one of the editors, had picked Dustin Wolf.
Really? Which
is fascinating. The other one, perhaps even more surprising, because we all know how good Wolf is. Who's your sleeper pick? Lundell, Drouin, Nyes, Zegras, Michelli. Nick Emanuele has Connor Zary as a sleeper pick for this season.
Really?
Yep. So those were the only 2 Flames mentions in that litany of questions about, who wins this, who wins that, which coach gets hired first, whatever. But those are, I mean, the Wolf one, it's a long shot on a team as middling as the Flames currently are, I should say. The Zary one, hey, maybe he surprises and reaches 60-some points, right?
Would you be shocked for me to say, like, I could see Zary having an all-world year and I could see him having a really tough year? I really could.
Yeah, well, I think with him, the concern, the buzzwords are going to be like injury prone.
I don't think he's injury prone.
I think both those injuries to his knees were largely, freakish.
Yeah.
But until he has a full season wherein he scores 50-some points or more, those questions will persist. So yeah, I could see that.
You want to know who my Flames breakout player of the year is this year? Joel Farabee.
That's a bold prediction.
He's going to make a lot of people eat their words. I feel like he's going to have a really good year.
2020 be good for him. 20 goals, 20 assists. Yep. I'd love to see that. I think Morgan Frost he looks like, hey, I see an opportunity here and I'm seizing it. And again, it was just preseason, but overall had a great camp.
Oh, but you know what? Me and you have talked about 100 times. How many posts did that guy hit last year? How many plays where it was like
him and Zary? Morgan Frost and Connor Zary, the 2 guys where it's like that would have been a highlight reel play. The only one to pull one off, incidentally, was Joel Farabee.
No kidding. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. But the other thing we should mention, and one of the reasons I have the Flames up that high, is that if Rasmus Andersson plays well, and remember, and I didn't know this, he had a broken bone in his foot.
Yeah. For the whole, the last 30 games, I believe.
It was 20 or 30. It was a significant amount of time. But if he is actually dialed in and playing well, that's a big, even if he ends up getting moved to the deadline or whatever, that's a big, big plus for this team. People often forget. I certainly forgot and was very critical of him, but he played hurt for a good chunk of the year. So really interested to see what it's like. And it seems to me, apart from us talking about it right now, the trade talk around him has already died down as the season gets ready to start. So
I haven't heard anything.
Well, let's hope it stays that way until something actually happens.
Yeah. It'll heat up. I guess it'll heat up. But, a lot of the talk with McDavid and those guys have sheltered the Anderson talk. McDavid does resign. We aren't going to dive too deep into that just because we're running out of time here tonight. And
it's a 2-year extension for the same money. He's leaving some money on the table. The first thing to do is sign Jake Wallman for a ton of money, which kind of shocked me. But
he's leaving $5 million on the table, $7 million, you could argue, whatever. It's a crazy contract to me. Yeah, it's a head scratcher. I don't know. We'll see. I do believe that if this guy doesn't win a cup in 2 years, he's gone.
Well, I think that's the design of the contract, right? So,
good luck.
Well, it gives him more opportunity, but again, like to immediately turn and sign Jake Wallman. Wallman's a good defenseman with that kind of money. I'm like, this doesn't move the needle for them. I don't think.
No, so, I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right, Flames fans, that was a lot. And we probably could go on for 30, 40 more minutes, but we know you have a life, and we want to go watch the Jays. So
no, it's 2-0 Toronto, I was just told. So there you go.
That is it. We're going to get out of here this week. This podcast drops Wednesday morning. Enjoy it. Game day in Edmonton Wednesday night to start the season. Thursday night back-to-back in Vancouver. Saturday at home, and a lovely afternoon game with the St. Louis Blues. The season is off and running, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You know what? I think there's going to be some big surprises this year, good and bad, and it's going to be a lot to talk about, and we're going to be here every single week to do that, and we're both looking forward to it.
So this was fun. We're all over the place, but this was fun. You can tell the season's kicking off, so let's keep it rolling.
All right, friends, you take care. We'll see you next week.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening to Flames Unfiltered with Brad Burud and Kyle Lewis, your source for unfiltered Calgary Flames hockey talk. Keep it locked on flamesunfiltered.ca. Subscribe where you get all your podcasts to never miss an episode. Flames hockey talk every week, presented by Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.